thank you for tuning in and joining me. My name is Sarah. You will know all about me because I'm sure you found me through Instagram. I am Ascanius on Instagram, and I'm also Penelope's Pocket on Instagram. Hence this YouTube video is going out under Penelope Pocket title. This is my first floss tube. It's probably actually not even really a floss tube because I do lots of different things and I will share all of them here. So there will be stitching and knitting and I don't know what else, but it will materialise. To give you some sort of idea of what you're letting yourself in for, I have a notebook and I have written headings of things, because I've thought about this for a long time, things that I will talk about. So this will give you an idea. So these are my headings. What am I wearing? What am I drinking? What's hot with me right now? What am I working on? What have I finished? What's in the bag? From the archive? From the opening diorama? What have I been buying? And plans. I don't always plan very much, but anyway, plans are there. And so I'm not going to talk a lot about me now, but I think when I talk about these things you'll learn a lot about my creative life. You'll obviously learn about how I set up Penelope's Pocket and the bags and well, any other stuff about me really. As I say, if you do follow me you'll know why I have short fluffy baby hair, and what's really thrown me into just stepping out there and doing this, because I have thought about it for a long time. So let's start. What am I wearing? I am wearing a ranunculus top, and it's also from the opening diorama. Towards the end there's a pile of little tops, and they are all this pattern, because this pattern is just great actually. It's one skein, which keeps the price down obviously, so you can use one beautiful skein. It's on very big needles. It's very forgiving with size. It's actually a one size fits all pattern. I mean, this is the size that I knit. It's the one size in my pattern. Actually, I should say, I think I've been knitting this for a long time, and I think now the pattern is multiply sized and has different options. And in fact, I have customized it because the first one I ever did, it didn't have a ribbed cuff here. It just like a cap sleeve. There's a long sleeve version as well, which I've done once, but this is my go-to now because I know I can knock one of these out. God, that sounds dreadful, doesn't it? It's still fun because I really love wearing them. They're really useful tops like this on top of, I'm wearing jeans today in a polo neck, but great on top of dresses, and yeah, and fun to knit. This one has a contrast bind off, cast on bind off, simply because I was worried I wasn't going to have enough yarn, and so just even that little bit that you use there and there makes all the difference to making it the right length. This is a good length for me. I quite like cropped things. I'm quite short in the body. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. What am I drinking? I think I'll need a drink because I think I'm going to talk a lot. I have a coffee in my Paul Pottery mug, and there's a reason why Paul Pottery is my thing, because it's sort of where I'm from. And as a child, for me and my brother, going down to the quay and having an ice cream, a 99, or a cone of Winkles or Cockles, and then going into the Paul Pottery factory shop was a thing that we did. Paul Park as well. So yeah, precious to me, and so that's my mug. I bought this one in a charity shop in Dorset, and I guess I'll have a sip now. Okay, So I'm going to launch right into what am I working on right now. So next to my stitchy spot is obviously a Gertrude bag, and in here are the things that I'm currently working on. I have a lot of cross-stitch projects that I have started, and project bags, obviously, perk of the job. Not so much knitting. I find knitting requires, for me, a lot more concentration, and if I have multiple projects on the go with knitting, I find that I forget what size was I doing, why had I made that change, and the pattern goes out of my head, so it's slow to pick up again because you've got to get going on the pattern. So I don't very often put things down, although if I go through all my bags eventually you will see that there are projects that I have put down and quite honestly will probably never pick up again. So let's start off with the Gertrude bag. I think I still actually have this one in stock. It's a real lovely one. It's one of my favourite ones. And this leads us into what am I into? Because on here I have this really beautiful acorn. I seem to be really into acorns. And it's a stitch marker holder. So this is a knitting tool, really. Now, when I first started to knit, stitch markers were not a thing. You would just snap off a piece of waste yarn, tie a knot in it and use that as a marker. I mean, stitch marker, I don't think they even existed. And I've never bought them until now. But I have been lucky enough to be gifted them sometimes by, you know, when you buy things, people quite often include a little something. So I've collected stitch markers in that way. So these are the first ones that I've actually bought. And this is a lovely little wooden one, which unscrews. And inside are the circular, well, you're not going to miss this, but circular stitch markers. But it's just such a beautiful thing, and useful. So yes, if that's what am I all into, acorns, at the same time, I could not resist buying this other acorn, which is a haberdashery box. And again, it's just really beautifully made. And it's quite tight fitting. I'm hoping I can get it off. It will loosen up, I'm sure. And to my shame, inside are a set of stitch markers that I bought at the same time because they're so beautiful. They're copper. You're really not going to be able to see that, but it's like a little copper bead with a little thing, and they were, anyway, I just bought them and they are now kept in there. And also at the same time I bought some yarn, and it was in a sale. I think the colour is acorn, and if the colour's not acorn, it just makes me think of acorns anyway, so it's in this little section. This is Woolfolk yarn, which I see being used, I've heard about. It's a bit pricey, but this colour was in the sale, and so yeah, why not? I've given it a go. These three things all came from Loop, London. Yeah, so that's what I'm all into. Apparently I'm all into acorns at the moment. I'm going to put them over this side. Okay, also on the bag, before we delve into the bag, is this really lovely brooch. Let me get it a bit closer, which has been machine embroidered. I like decorating my bags. This, I found this through somebody that I follow on Instagram, and I do know who it is, but I'm not going to say because obviously I haven't asked her. Showed a picture of a cat face brooch from the same lady, which made me go and have a look. And then I spotted this and I thought, oh my goodness, look how brilliant it is with the cottage. I mean, it's almost the same, and the colours are lovely. And that is that was on Etsy, and it was from, I don't know whether, ooh, yeah, I see lots of people having these problems. Anyway, Agnes and Cora on Etsy. Really nicely made. I would highly recommend. So that's that. Also decorating my bag is this needle minder. I don't use needle minders in my stitching, so I popped it on here because I thought the colour was lovely, and that came from Anita at Northumberland Sampler House, and she sent that to me on a really lovely card, and along with some fabric that I bought. I bought quite a lot of fabric from her. Her fabrics are fantastic. So yeah, colour wise I thought, and anyway, I thought it looked great on there. So what's in the bag? In the bag, obviously, my book of days. This must be my fifth, yeah, probably my fifth book of days. Obviously I sticker it up a la Brenda and Laura, and I write in what I do. I very rarely do nothing. Stitching, knitting, my creative life is my way of relaxing. Obviously at the moment, because I can't work, I have a lot more time. I have been quite productive while I've been ill, so and it's all in here. So I always write what I do in my book of days. Okay, now for the interesting stuff. Out comes the first bag. All the project bags that I show are obviously Penelope's pocket, because that's perk of the trade. But I do have other project bags, and I will say where I've got them from if they come up and I show them. So this is the first one. This is like a Christmassy type fabric from a long time ago. I don't have these anymore. And in here we've got paisley. Okay, actually this makes me think of something. People say they don't like the vinyl fronted project bags because sometimes the paper can stick to the inside of the vinyl, especially if you store your projects for a long time like I do. And that is true. I agree with that, especially if it's like a photocopy thing. It takes the photocopy agent off of the paper. So I always make sure that it's the fabric against the vinyl, not another plastic thing or the pattern. Right, let's take out everything, because there will be lots of things in here and some things I might have forgotten about. So here is paisley. I absolutely love these Stacey Nash animal cracker things, and it's shameful that I have so many patterns, but I think I've only finished two. She will be my third when she's done, because she is quite close to a finish. There she is. I have changed some of the colours, and for her crown I mixed together a dinky dye silk with a sparkly thread. Can't remember what sparkly thread it was, and I put it away now. So she has a bit of sparkle to her, which I couldn't resist. It probably doesn't show up on there at all, but it obviously does subtly in real life. So these are the colours. Her dress is cranberry, which I don't think is the called for colour. The others probably are the called fors. I didn't have the colour for her cheeks, so I pulled out two. I can't remember which one I used now. There's Gentle Art Antique Rose and Wood Rose on there, and I think I actually even chose, because they're variegated flosses, I chose a paler part of the floss to do her cheeks. And her nose is a DMC. That's also not the called for, and the reason for that is because I really messed up Whitaker, and I'll show him now actually, because he is here. So this is a previous finish. This is also from the diorama at the beginning. He's one of my favourites. Oh my god, how cute is he? So I make lots of mistakes with things, and his trousers, I don't know what colour they are, but they were the colour for his nose. And I'd stitched the trousers before I got to the nose and realised I'd done the wrong thing. So I pulled out a DMC. It might be in that bag actually, if it's important. DMC 920, an orangey one, for his nose. And his gloves, which may not be the called for colour, are the colour of his girlfriend's dress so that they match. So I'm really close to a finish on this. I'm stitching it on, do I know? I think it's 40 count because of my eyesight. I think it's 40 count. With Whittaker, so I saved this piece of fabric has been in this bag to do her on, so they're all matching fabric. Now with Whittaker, I backed him rather extravagantly in the linen and made him a scarf. And I thought I'd do the same with Paisley because I've got enough linen there to back her. I've also got enough linen at the top here, I think, to make Whittaker's Christmas tree that he carries around with him. But then I came across this backing fabric, and I think she's going to look great with that as a backing fabric. So I'm actually not going to use that piece of linen. I think that's going to be her backing fabric. I also have an overwhelming desire to knit her, because I obviously knitted Whittaker's scarf, a handbag. She looks like someone who needs a handbag to me. So I'm going to play around. I don't think I've got any of this yarn left, but I will play around and see if I can knit her a handbag. So that's Whittaker. So that's a previous finish. That's also from the diorama. That's what I'm working on at the moment. Come on, Sarah, you've just got to finish that off. I don't really like finishing these though. They're quite fiddly, aren't they? To get a really good finish. That's her backing fabric. Those are her colours. Oh, while we're here, I make thread drop keepers. I do actually find them quite useful because I use the fabric, obviously I use the fabric from the bag, so if I steal this for another project I actually know where it's come from. Although I do actually have a very good system of keeping track of where my flosses are and where my threads are, which my husband helped me with because that's technical. And also on here a pair of the scissors that I sell on the site as well, little tiny Merchant and Mills ones, and they're just useful obviously to have in your project. So let's pop that down there. Okay. Also in this bag, that fabric is Northumberland Sample House, and it is, is this going to rustle? It is 35 count oak. Beautiful fabric she does. And there are some notes in there on how I knitted the scarf, to keep the excess for Paisley, what I did his gloves in and what I did his nose in because they weren't the correct colours. Got that down there. Also in this bag I have Eliza French birds from JBW Designs, because this is one that I want to do. I'm pretty certain I've got the threads for that in here as well. Not on a keep because that's in use at the moment, but there we go, there's the colours for that. Yeah, so that's in there to do. That's not even Christmassy. I don't know what it's doing in here. I have, this is a freebie chart, so I can flash that in front of the screen. I've got some fabric in here. Yeah, maybe I was thinking about that for Eliza's birds. That is R&R Reproductions 32 count apple brown. What else have I got in here? Oh, I've never done a Mill Hill kit. That's in here, one of those. He's rather great, isn't he? I've never done one before, but I would like to give that a go, so that's in there. I've got a cross stitch Christmas chart, Christmas Joy from Samplers and Stitches. I'm not going to show it. I don't know whether I paid for it or whether it was a freebie. It's from 2022 and I haven't done that, but that's in there. Whittaker pattern is in there, but he's done. I've also got a kit my mother-in-law sent me when I wasn't very well in hospital, which I haven't done, but I will do because it's tiny. It's on Ada, I think. I am not an Ada stitcher. I choose to stitch on linen most of the time, but I have stitched on Ada. I'm not an Ada snob or anything, but I don't really like white. White is not my thing. But then I could tea dye that, couldn't I? But also it's tiny enough that I could use a scrap. Look at those colours. They are actually really rather gorgeous. They're really bright. I could see those on a darker linen and they'd really pop out, wouldn't they? So I will do that. There seems to be a lot of thread there for such a tiny thing. So that's that bag. Shall we go on? Right, this bag. Oh, I love this bag. This is a bag that I made quite a lot of, but quite a long time ago. And there's a full story behind this. Zarafa, who was a giraffe that was sent from Africa to France, and this was her keeper. Can't remember his name now. I've not got the memory, but I did buy the book. This is a lovely story. I'm looking at this and everything is in reverse. Not technically minded. I don't know whether you will see it in reverse or you will see it around the right way. But if it's in reverse, I'm sorry. But that I bought that book because of this fabric and because I wanted to be accurate when I shared it as to the story behind it. It's just so lovely. Yeah, no more of these. I don't know whether you'd be able to get this. I'd be able to get this fabric or anything. So in this bag, which I have been putting a few stitches in since I saw somebody do a finish on Instagram. Again, I'm not going to say who it was, but it was gorgeous. And I thought, why have I not done that? This was my New Year's Day start in 2020, 25, anyway, a long time ago I started this and I haven't finished it. And this is, well, I'll show it you first. I don't know, you're getting people go like this, don't they? Oh, and I can see that's making the camera change. So this is Reflet de Soie. I'm not good at French. And it's Noëlle Corbineau, 1847. And I bought this from Isabel, I think it is, at Reflet de Soie, directly as a chart kitted with the threads. So I'm stitching it with the Ouvert Soie. Is it Ouvert Soie? Oh gosh, how your mind goes when you're being filmed. I think it is, yeah, it is. The slightly thicker silk anyway, and it came on this lovely card and all the lovely colours and presumably all the correct amounts to be able to stitch. I had several fabric choices for this and I think I changed my mind at the last minute. And this fabric is, I think it might be 40 count again because of my eyesight, and this is from Foxglove and Lace Linens, Hazel. I don't think she dyes at the moment, maybe she will do again, but it's beautiful fabric and I really love this. I've been working on, I did the urn a long time ago and I've been working on these roses here. There's just a couple of days this month, but I really must get on with this because I see it in an oval frame. I see it in an oval frame and I've been researching oval frames and it probably won't end up in an oval frame, but it's a real beauty and I must get back to that. That's what everybody says as well, isn't it? Must get back to that. So that's in this bag. There's just another card with another bit of colour on there. That's relevant to that. Also in this bag, I have this pattern, again JBW Designs, French Country Giraffe. Now I've made him, I stitched him on seaweed from Fox and Rabbit linens, That's upstairs on my dressing table because my daughter really loves giraffes, and the minute I saw that pattern I thought I've got to do that. But there's a small one as well, so you can do it, I think you can do it over one. So I've kept this pattern in here, and I'm going to do it again because I will do the little tiny version, and that's my thread keep holder, and the colours for the giraffe there. What else is in this bag? Bit of fabric. Maybe that's what I did the giraffe on. That looks like a giraffe shaped hole, doesn't it? Excuse me. Also in this bag I have a bag with something. I don't know what it is. I have this pattern. It's back to front, isn't it? I don't know whether you're going to see that. It is Strength and Dignity by the Proper Stitcher, and it says, "She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come." And that was sent to me by a pen pal that I have made through Penelope's Pocket, and she lives in Australia, and she's an absolutely lovely lady, and I know exactly why she sent me that to stitch, and she sent me some fabric to do it on as well, so that will be done, and it's in there because these are the things that I want to work on. So there we go, that's that one. Time for a sip of coffee, I think. Next up, more Christmas stitching, because these are things that I got ready to work on at Christmas time. This is 12 Days of Christmas, and inside, haha, what do I have? I have the 12 Days of Christmas. I've been working on these for a long time, and I tend to pick them up when we go on holiday, and very recently we went away for a couple of nights in this country, and so I thought I'd take one with me, because Prairie Schooler stitching is comfort stitching. It is enjoyable, it's not easy, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so I started number 6 geese are laying, is it? Oh, the sun's come out, look at that, how dreadful, because you're not going to be able to see it. That's my start, that's what I did while we were away. That's the pattern, and while we've got the bag, I guess I could show you. So I was just looking for a hanky. I think my nose is running. In fact, I could pause videoing, couldn't I, and blow my nose. Hold on. Right, nose blown. I thought I had everything, but I didn't have a hanky. Anyway, you don't want to see me blow my nose. So the other ones are in here. Oh, here's the... I keep my DMCs in these Flossaway bags. So those are the colours. I'm not using the called for red. I've no idea why. I think somebody might have spoken quite a bit about Anchor Red being a lovely red, and so I just bought a load of that. So that is the red that I use for the Prairie Schooler Santas. Let's put these things down here. These are the other finishes. You will have seen all of these if you follow me on Instagram. Pre-cut the fabric, so that's the fabric squares that I still need for the ones still to do. It's just a Zweigart 32 count. Is it antique cream? Could be cream, not sure. Anyway, here we go. There he is, number 1. Partridge in a pear tree. Number 2, what is it, 2 calling birds. 3 French hens. Oh, was it 2 turtle doves, isn't it? 4 calling birds, parrots in that case. 5 gold rings. So these have taken me a long time, but actually this one I did when we went to Bruges last June. This one I did while I watched the Olympics in hospital. 5 gold rings seemed very appropriate, so I did that. I really enjoyed it. I love that dog. Each one of these has got a pair on it somewhere, which is also fun. I love these. How am I going to finish them? I feel like I need to finish them all at the same time so that they all go together and they all match. I don't put hanging ornaments on my tree, but I think I might finish them on boards with hangers. I don't know how I'm going to finish them, but I think that is going to be the backing fabric, which is why it's in here. I think that cream is really nice with that, so that's why that's in there. And that should really be all that's in here, because that's quite a big project. I think the other patterns are in here, because this comes as 3 separate charts with 4 on each chart. So that's that one. What's next in the bag? Now we're on to the knitting. This is what I was doing as we opened. This is a pair of socks. Sock knitting is just great for, well, you can just pick it up and knit round and round, as long as you're not turning the heel, or, well, as long as you're not turning the heel probably. It's just straight knitting. And these I started, I say these, but actually there's only one here, because these are for my dad for his birthday, which was yesterday. I was with him yesterday, so I gave him one and have promised him the other to come in the post as soon as possible. So they need to be done. This bag, it was a gift from a really, really dear friend. I don't know if you're watching. And it's from Toast. I don't know what she thought I was going to be using it for, but I love it, and it's just really great because you just pop your knitting in and you just tie a thing in it. There is a lesson here though that I've learnt, in that you do have to be careful, because knitting needles are sharp pointing things, and look, you can already see it's coming through there, so you do have to be a little bit careful putting your knitting in there, but as long as you're aware of it, I guess that's okay. So that's one knitting project on the go. This is my other one at the moment, and I don't really have any others, so you won't be bored by any more knitting. This is a bag from Rick Rack Room on Etsy. I'm pretty sure she doesn't make any more. She was the first lady that I bought project bags from, and she sells drawstring top ones and zip top ones, and I bought a drawstring top one in this lovely fabric, and I asked her if she'd make a zip top one. So the idea behind this was going to be a project bag for cross stitch. This is before I came across vinyl fronted bags and specific cross stitch bags, and I thought this pocket was useful for putting threads and scissors in and things, but now it's actually just a knitting bag. I use it for knitting now. So I have a couple of those stitch markers that I've been gifted that I mentioned hanging from there, which are useful. And inside is a Scout shawl by, God, I don't know, do I? And I haven't made notes properly. Is it Florence Sperling? I think it might be. Anyway, this also came from Loop in London as a kit, and it was from my really wonderful work colleagues, because I've not been well, and I have not done Fair Isle with super soft yarn like this. I think it's Madeline Tosh Merino. It's really soft. The colours are just gorgeous. I actually think it might actually show how beautiful that blue is there, and the pinky colour and the green. It's a kit. I didn't put these colours together. It is a kit. I think it's going to be fantastic. It's going to need some serious blocking if you're not a knitter. Blocking is when you've finished knitting and you soak the yarn for quite a while in tepid water, and then when it comes out you pin it out. In my case I do it on the floor on mats, to the shape, the size, the shape that you want, and hopefully it will stop this curling and I'll get a nice edge on it. And also with fair arm knitting, which is I guess is what this is, it evens out your stitches as well, so it gives a really nice finish to things. So I'll just show the back. I have been sort of weaving in some of the ends on as I go, so some of these I can snip off, which I'll probably do when I've blocked it actually, because that can have an effect, and some of them I actually need to weave in, but I don't like weaving in, so most of them I've tried to tie in. Now I made a massive error on this because that's what I do with everything, and so this first bit here should have been blue, and I call it pink, but actually it's not really, is it? It's like a cappuccino sort of colour, together, and I didn't read the pattern properly until I got to about here, and then I wasn't going to change it. But it is a kit. Now the beauty with a kit is that I think there are 5 colours in this, so you'd have to buy 5 hanks of yarn in order to be able to knit this, but you don't need that much yarn, particularly of the green. You can see there's not much of the green in it, and so you're spending quite a lot of money and you're not going to use all that yarn. So with the kit they wind up how much you need, which is great, unless you mess it up and use the wrong colour in the wrong place, in which case you might not have enough because you've messed it up. So that should have been blue and pink, and that should have been green and blue. Oh no, wait a minute, Sarah, what are you talking about? That should have been blue and pink, but I used the white. Oh yeah, that should have been white. That should have been white and pink, I think. But I had already used the white here, so I used the green. I don't know. I think it looks great. I love the green anyway. So there we go. That's that one. I'd really like to get this finished because I like them to see that I have really appreciated their gift, and I'd like to be wearing it when I pop in to see them. So, and it gets easier because it's obviously getting smaller. I'm on the decrease now. I'm on the down homeward straight, and looking at it there, I'm thinking, yes, I really want to be wearing that. So I'll get on with that, get that done. So that's it. That Gertrude bag is now empty. That is those are the things that I'm working on at the moment. I don't have rotations. I don't you know, that's it. I need to finish paisley. I need to finish that scarf. I need to get some more stitches in that beautiful French urn, and probably finish that prairie schooner. So what's next? My notebook hasn't really helped me, has it? What about what I finished recently? I mean, you will have seen this if you follow me. So what I finished recently, fully finished, has been this drum, which is from the Blackbird Designs Winds of Autumn. This was another reason actually that I thought, oh yeah, people really like to see things, because I did a reel of this, mainly because how do you photograph a drum? It's a 3D thing, it's really difficult to show. I had so many views on this, it was just crazy. So that was another thing that made me think, oh, people do like to look at things. I like looking at things. I love putting on a Flosstube or a knitting podcast, sitting down with a cup of coffee and either my knitting or my stitching and just watching what people do. So yeah, it makes sense. So I do rather love this. This I like so much that it's not an autumn thing. It sits on my dressing table, and in the top there are some, yeah, I know they are gorgeous. I've inherited all of those. They are, this one here, I think this one here probably is really old because that's hair. In there is a little braid of hair. I mean, I'm really not going to see it behind a bit of what would they call it? Quartz, you know, clear. It's not glass, it's a stone, clear stone. And that one there is some sort of agate. There, that one there is obviously, I do wear that one sometimes as a lapel pin because it is really pretty. Yeah. So I followed the instructions in the book for how to finish this. Ivona Pfeiffer puts out a really, really useful drum finishing instruction video, which I have used for other drums, which I can share at other times. But I really like the construction of this one because it doesn't have a board in the top, which meant that I can stick these in because he's much bigger than that really, and he can go right down in. And in there is a mixture. It's mainly sawdust, board at the bottom, sawdust, and then at the top a bit of uncarded toy stuffing which sort of holds the sawdust in because it's jolly messy stuff, so that you can stitch on the top, but it does mean that you can really poke things down into it. So that's something that I have recently finished, along with this one here which hasn't been put away yet. Oh, it's all back to front. It's so obvious with the writing, isn't it? This is And Rudolph by La Di Da. I used, I think it might be 32 count cocoa, old weeks. This is a black Belsoir silk. I don't actually think it's worth spending money on black silk because it doesn't have the sheen. That's my, anyway, I love stitching with silk, but yeah, I don't think it's necessary for something like this, but I had it, so I used it. And the white, it's just got white on it, hasn't it? Yeah, the white was also a silk. I can't remember which one, but something that I already had. And then I put my initials on and the year that I finished it, and I put this backing on, which you'll recognise was also from Paisley, the one that I'm going to use for Paisley. I've used it on other things as well, but I thought it looked really nice with that. And then I went completely OTT and put on that ribbon trim, which isn't necessarily really me. I like plainer things maybe, but I loved the colour, and completely, it, just one of those things that just happened that it matched the colour that I'd used here. And also it came out of a cracker. I had some really gorgeous crackers this year from Cambridge Imprint, and this, I think it's Monaghan ribbon, was in my cracker, so it seemed really appropriate that I used it on there. And once I'd got to about here and decided, oh god, I don't think I really like that, I'd already invested far too much time into it because it's so fiddly, and so there it is, and now it's grown on me and I really quite like it, and that will go away till next year. Okay. Other things that I've finished recently, I've shown this very recently on Instagram. This is my Heidemoa vest. I don't even know how to say it. It's a really tricky word. Every day I wrote it in my book of days. I had to copy it from the previous day because I couldn't even write it because I can't say it. Anyway, it doesn't matter that I can't say it because it is actually a really, really useful thing. And it's the second one I've made. And somebody pointed out to me, oh, it has the cutest little pocket in the front there, which I actually didn't even sew on flat. I've made it so it's 3D because this makes it even cuter in my mind. And I did say in my Instagram post that I'd put buttons on it for my grandma's button box, which you couldn't actually see because my arms were in the way. But there you go, there are the mother of pearl buttons. Absolutely gorgeous buttons. Made me, finding these, because I knew they were in there, made me sort out my grandma's button box. And I spent a fun day, actually. My grandma died quite a few years ago, and I've had her work box, which my grandfather made for her, in my hallway with a lamp on it, pretty much with all her stuff in it, since I said to my mum, I'll have that. Because my mum's got one, because he made one for her as well. And I knew the button box was in there, and every now and again I go through the top of it and look for a button to stick on something. But I've never tipped them out, so it's only ever been a superficial rummage in the top. And it's a big old tin. So when I was looking for these, I thought, right, I'm just going to do this. So I tipped it out into a tray and I sorted through it, and it's just so lovely, isn't it? So many mother of pearl buttons. I keep buttons. The buttons on here, on this, they're from a dress, from a very old toast dress that I didn't want anymore. And so I took the buttons off and I put the dress in the fabric recycling bin. So I keep buttons. I take buttons off my husband's shirts, my children's clothes. So I have a button box. When I told my mum I'd been through Grandma's button box, she said, oh, you can have my button box. Button boxes are a thing in my family, obviously. Yeah, and some of the mother of pearl buttons from Grandma's box, they're so tiny. I was showing them to my husband. They are so tiny. What do they use them for? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I will use them. So that's that one. There's the mother of pearl. Oh, and it's got smocking on the back. This is not a difficult pattern. I've been knitting a long time. I know I probably shouldn't say that. For me, it's not a difficult pattern. This is a knit one, purl two, knit one, purl two, knit one, purl two rib. You need to block it first to open the rib up, and then you smock it by tying the knit stitches together like that. I didn't do a very good job. I probably should have marked them out. I did it freehand. Some of them might not be quite as many rows as the other, but anyway, it looks good, doesn't it? And then it has an I-cord tie. And I think I also said in my post, it's very forgiving because it's not fitted. It's got a really nice neck detail. This one is knitted in an Aran weight, and from the archive I thought I'd get out this one because I've done it before. I did this a long time ago, and I wear this a lot over dresses. I've got a couple of dresses which this pink really works with, and so I made this one here a long time ago, and this one was made with a Shetland yarn, probably Jamieson's Shetland yarn, that I combined with a Filcolana mohair, Tilia I think it's called, to get the right gauge. If you're not a knitter, the thickness of your yarn is important. So the grey one is an Aran weight, and so knits up on the needles recommended in the pattern, and you get more or less the right size. The Shetland yarn is not an Aran weight, and you need something thicker, so by mixing it with another yarn you get the right gauge, and you also get a bit of fluff, halo fluff, which is nice. And this one also has Grandma's buttons on it, but this time they're also mother of pearl, but they're more of a pinky colour, which is how I knew I was looking for those, because I'd seen those grayer ones in the button box when I was looking for these several years ago. So that's also what I finished recently. So that brings us on to, which bit shall I do last? Let's talk about some Penelope's Pockets bags, because that's how I sold this to myself, was I'll try and promote my business a bit. So let me show you the bags that I've been making this month that will be probably going on the website this weekend. So I do 2 main cross-stitch project bags, one of which is called the Dorothy, and that's this one. There are reasons behind all the names, which I will go into some other time. So this one is a all fabric bag. This is a Liberty print. Actually, I'll tell you a bit about me. I worked for Liberty for more than 10 years, so I'm a Liberty girl. So this is a Liberty fabric, and can I say it's Liberty? It's not Liberties. I think it's Harrods, and I think it's Selfridges, but it's Liberty. So this is a Liberty print. I think it was called Lazenby cotton. So it's like a midway. It's not Tana lawn, which is too expensive to make bags out of, in a way. But it's not. It doesn't seem to be their quilting cotton either. This is something new since the many years ago that I worked there. And so these, this has a really lovely lining. So that's your typical Liberty lining, isn't it? Really floral. But there was something about that meandering river. I really loved that, so I couldn't resist making some of those. So they'll be available. These bags, I put a swing tag on them because you can write on there what's in them, because of course you can't see inside. And if you're like me, you have loads of projects. But I quite like the excitement of opening it and thinking, oh, I'd forgotten about that one. And the tassels are an optional extra, because they are, I'm afraid. But that's a cotton, which I thought looked really nice on there. So that one's coming. This one is coming. This is what I call my Caroline bag. So this is the vinyl fronted bag, like the ones that I showed you earlier on. So this one's coming. This has got hedgehogs on it. Who doesn't love a hedgehog? And hares. And it's a bluebell wood. And that tassel, if you wanted one, is a Shetland lace tassel, so it's really fluffy. And to be honest, if you wanted a thread keep, it's going to be a hare, because can you see him? The dark fabric doesn't make for great thread keeps, in my experience. So I have some of this fabric and I could do a hedgehog, but I don't think he'd be great. These little fellows here trekking across the wilderness, they would be great, but I don't have any fabric left with those on them. But I do have fabric left with hares. So that's that one. And this is the final one. This has been a very popular print. That doesn't look very exciting, does it? That's the, obviously the mind blank, the comb. But it's all about the bees. And this was another reason for me thinking that I might do a Flosstube, is because I really mess these up, because I mess up everything and I cut them the wrong size, which is crazy because I've made hundreds of these bags. But so I was left with 2 options. Do I just make smaller bags? No, I don't want to do that, because I love my pile of project bags all matching, and I love that they fit in my Gertrude bag. So I pattern matched. So you can see along this bottom line here, that is the pattern match. I think it's pretty good, but it obviously is pieced. So if you don't want one of my mess ups, please don't buy one. But there we go. Honest. They all look pretty much like that. One of them might be slightly not quite as good as the others, but you know, there you go. And I think I have enough bee fabric to be able to do enough of those bees. There we go. Okay, that's that. One last thing to show. I thought I would show, well, I thought I'd show this. This is also on the diorama. This is Cherry Picker from La-di-da. And you can see that I did that in 2019. And it was really thanks to Instagram, somebody that I follow, way back in 2019, possibly 2018, must have shown something that made me think, oh, I fancy doing a cross stitch, because I've done cross stitch way back through my life, which if I ever do another one of these, I'll show some of the things that I've done in the past. And so I started Googling, like you do, and my mind was completely blown by what was out there, because that didn't exist when I cross-stitched many years ago. And so how lucky was I to come across Peakside Needleworks, and knowing nothing, this was one of the first charts I bought. I think I bought 3 at the same time. This was one. Another one I've done, finished and love. And another one is still in my box over there of charts. And maybe I'll show those another time. So I think that was a pretty good start, actually. I didn't know anything about the fabrics. I bought this fabric from Peakside Needleworks. I think it might be R&R Reproductions, but I didn't know anything about it. It's all stitched in DMC, and I realised, because my mum's a stitcher as well, so I think I might have even used her threads from her stash. I think I realised that some of the called for threads, term I didn't even know back then, didn't show up on this fabric, and so I know that I changed some of the threads, particularly in the basket. So I finished it and I framed it myself. I think I finished this. I might have finished something else and had it framed, and it was really expensive. And I remember thinking I could do that myself. So I did. And I also remember thinking, what a nightmare when something has a border like that of a single line, because it's really difficult to get it looking straight. But that's not too bad. I don't put glass in them. I watch Carol, Saltbox Stitcher. She doesn't put glass in any of hers. I like the way it looks without glass, to be honest. I've got a ostrich feather duster that I use to whip over them with, to try and keep them clean. But they're for my pleasure, and they're not going to deteriorate in my lifetime. So that's how I do it. And this one I went all out on and put a really lovely backing paper on. I don't always do that anymore because I've become far too lazy, but that one's got a nice backing paper on it as well. So yeah, that was my first foray, one of my first foray into cross stitch when I came back to cross stitch in 2019. Okay, I'm looking at the time up there. It says 58 minutes. I had no idea that I could talk for that long about not very much, really. I hope I haven't bored you senseless. Will I do another one? I have lots of ideas. I certainly have lots more project bags to go through, lots more things that I could show. So maybe. But thank you very much for spending your time with me. And if you've made it this far, quite a lot of time as well. So thank you. And yeah, maybe let's do this again. Bye.